Hey guys, and welcome back to Gregtech New Horizons. Last episode we assembled our clean room here for circuit production, and I've installed this little elevator for easy access to avoid having to open the door. I've also just been doing some cleanup around the base, preparing materials, and I actually invested in another miner. One of the first little minor upgrades we're going to make today is to our tools. So I bought some of this Damascus steel. It takes the durability from 7,955 up to 30,600, which is crazy. And I think we're going to upgrade all of our tools, to be honest. So to start with today, I think we'll continue on quality of life upgrades by trying to craft up this electric jetpack. This thing doesn't look too bad, right? Until you start to dig deeper. I mean, yeah, this is going to be a lot of manual crafting. Before we go crafting the jetpack though, I would like to look into SMD components, which is an alternate way to craft circuits, and is actually going to be required for the next years. The main ones I would like to get is these diodes, however this requires platinum and gallium arsenide. And platinum is a really big problem for us, hello Gast. So we're going to use some of the infrastructure we set up last episode to fix the gallium problem, and we'll come back to platinum in a second. But yeah, it looks like our miner here has picked up a really nice amount of sphalerite ore, along with some sulfur and pyrite, but the sphalerite here is what we're after. Whoa, you guys see that zombie down there? Hold on, where did he go? Where is he? Look at him. Look how quick this guy, look. What? That's not legal. Wonder if we can even hit him. This guy's way too fast. So all of this sphalerite we just picked up, we want to process in a very specific way here. We first of all want to crush it, then simple wash it, and from here we want to thermal centrifuge, which is going to give us cadmium. That'll be nice for some batteries later. But then we can pulverize again in the HV macerator for a 10% chance at whole dust of gallium. Now that is huge. And then we can once again electrolyze the sphalerite dust for tiny piles. I noticed here after setting up our thermal centrifuge last episode though that this thing is very power hungry, and we'll actually drain our batteries here. And we have kind of two ways to fix this. We can either give it its own power gen, or I've just crafted up this LV1 which we're going to use in place of it instead. It's going to be slower, but I mean we've got a lot of crafting to do. We will need a transformer for this though. So this sphalerite still is going to take about 1,000,000 years to process. Something else that's going to take a significant amount of time and I would like to get started early on is the platinum problem. And platinum, from what I can tell, is not a very easy thing to come by, especially not in the early game. But we are going to pick up our miner here, and even though I just sorted out our storage here, it's almost becoming an issue again. I'm going to have to go through some of these dusts and try to clean out some of these chests. I mean, it is still organised of course, but we just don't have enough of it for the amount of materials we're getting in, especially with double miners. But our miner, we're going to move to the Twilight Forest for nickel. We have to grab some more fuel, which we are now backlogging on. This is awesome since we fixed it last episode. Looks like the fuel line here is finally filled up. So yeah, the first miner I did go and drop on a nickel vein. And the second one here we've had on diamond, which should actually be finished. Yeah, I'm going to transport all of this back to our base. Hopefully it fits in the chests. And I think I'll drop this one on a second nickel vein. We have a couple around here that we can use. Alright, so I thought while we're waiting on the thermal centrifuge and the miners, we would make a start on the jetpack. And actually we're almost there with this thing. We're just missing 4 HV circuits. 5 HV circuits, yeah. 2 for this recipe and 1 for the final jetpack recipe. And these engine boosters, by the way, were quite the number of steps to jump through, as I suspected. But yeah, we do need some more HV circuits. And since we still don't have our platinum, I think we're still going to have to use diodes for this. But hopefully this will be one of the last times we have to use those. We are currently up to 33 gallium, and we are going to use some of the gallium to batch up a few more monocrystalline silicon boules, which we use for the wafers, and we're going to use wafers to craft the diodes instead of gallium arsenide dust. I got in trouble in the comments for that yesterday, so yay for not wasting resources. It is a 450-second recipe though, so yeah, more waiting to do. Oh, and I have also switched to using this blast furnace for steel, so no more pollution from those guys over there. I've also made sure to keep crafting up some stainless steel. Wait, that's gallium. Yeah, I've also made sure to keep mixing stainless steel. We are out of chrome though, so we'll have to gather some more of that, but we have around 12 stacks of stainless, which should see us through for this episode, I think. Yeah, there's some more in the output chest here even. And crafting these circuits also gives us another opportunity to use this clean room. After I installed this elevator, or moved the elevator, I also installed a howler alarm up here with a needs maintenance cover so that if we have any issues, we get alerted by this thing. And that should avoid us voiding items here. Avoid us voiding? That was weird. Alright, second batch of HV circuits coming in after an undisclosed amount of time. Wow, this circuit crafting is insane. We need to do something about this. But this little round of crafting circuits gave us 16 HVs. There's quite a number of things with HV circuits I'd like to pick up, so we'll see how long this lasts. But there's our 2 engine boosters. I don't know why I crafted extra of these, but I mean... And then the engine boosters I think are just used to craft the jetpack, along with all of these components. And we have it, our electric jetpack. Wait, check the quest first. Always check the quest line. Yep, Oh, we almost missed this. We have to pick up the boosters first. Anything else? No, just the jetpack, and it gives us 2 circuits back. That's nice. Although there is the charging RE battery. Let's just craft it first. The jetpack. If this charging battery is what I think it is, this is very easy to craft. This is just 4 LVs. So we're definitely going to take the HV circuits for this quest. The power of flight. I love it. And I think we got hover mode. Yes, we do. Nice. This is going to make building so much easier now. Alright, so before we move on to today's project, I started rearranging some of these MV machines over here. And I wanted to get our processing for nickel started. So I went back to the Twilight Forest to pick up both of the miners. After we crush the nickel ore, we send it through this chemical bath with Mercury, which we've been storing as quicksilver rather than just voiding the output, and we get this from centrifuge and redstone. This all goes in this chest, gets pulled in by the fluid extractor, outputs to this little buffer tank. We have a pump on the side of this chemical bath to import the mercury, and a chest on top for the crushed nickel. So when we chemical bathe this crushed nickel in mercury, we get a 70% chance at metallic powder dust, which we can then blast furnace for 2 platinum nuggets. So the ratio is absolutely awful, but we have a lot of mercury backed up and a lot of nickel. Oh, and once we process the nickel through the chemical bath, we can actually thermal centrifuge this for another 11% chance at 2 extra dust here. Nice. Alright, so I've been doing some thinking about what's next for us. I did start to craft the multi-block for the next project I'd like to work on, but that is going to require more space and base expansion. And what you see here is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of blocks, of which we are running out of. 8 stacks of Lave and 17 stacks of Bitt blocks may seem like a lot, but we go through these blocks like it's nothing, and only 3 stacks here of the Lair blocks. So I thought we'd do something fun here together and we'll automate all of our building blocks. I think this gives us the materials for all of the machines we're going to need. For 3 assembling machines, LV, 1 basic cutting machine. We need to sleep the night away. That's another thing we have to do is secure this area off. 1 rock breaker. And a quest. 1 compressor. Not 3 compressors, 1 compressor. Those materials are meant for the combustion generators. We'll make 2 of these. We may need some more, but we'll buff the power later. We also need a fluid solidifier, so you're coming with me. And did we miss anything? I think I had some drawers in here. Yes, some drawers. Oh, you know what? We also need a source of water, so we can use our Ender IO reservoirs. These things are awesome. Alright, now I think we're ready. Where do we want to put this though? I wonder if we could fit it in right over here next to our storage room. That would be really ideal actually. So the 3 main blocks we want to produce here are Lair blocks, Bitt blocks, and Lave blocks. I think concrete is something we'll also fully automate, so maybe that doesn't leave us enough space here, but yeah, we'll start with at least these 3 blocks. Yeah, I think over there is not going to be enough space for us, so we're going to put it here instead. Oh, I was wondering why I had extra components on me. Yeah, we're missing an assembler here for Ztones. Okay, 1 more assembly machine. We also need a roof here to prevent explosions. Almost forgot about this thing. This is Gregtech New Horizons after all. Alright, so this has been rebuilt too many times to count actually, but here we are. And we're out of power. Nice. But we are creating here Lave blocks, Bitt blocks, and hopefully Lair blocks. Yeah, I'm working on a fix here for the power, but let's go through quickly how this works. So we have our rock breaker here, which is actually really awesome. This is peanuts to run in terms of power. And this thing is going to output stone since we have lava on top of the rock breaker and water on the side. That automatically outputs to this item pipe, which distributes it between a cutting machine, cuts it down into slabs, and an assembler. And both of these on circuit 1 give us our Ztones, which is automatically output to the drawer below it. We also have an overflow drawer here for stone, which we can hook back up. Then underneath we have a conveyor to export the Ztones, and that is sent into these 3 assemblers, where we then import ice here. We're getting ice from a fluid solidifier, which fluid solidifies water into snow, compresses it into ice, buffers it in this drawer, and then pulls it in via conveyor on the top here into the assembler and makes our Lave blocks on circuit 12. The next one here takes wool. So we don't have wool automated, we have to insert wool manually, but this also takes our Ztones. Circuit 0, we have the circuit in here since we can't program it in the UI for some reason. And the last one here for the layer takes netherrack, which we also have to insert here. Let's lock these drawers. But yeah, the power situation on the back, we're just using a battery buffer and 2 basic combustion generators, which are not currently on our fuel line. That's enough compressor, and you take a muffling upgrade. Look at that, just enough pipes. I love it when that happens. Alright, the generators are hooked up. This system should be fully running. We don't have enough amps coming out of our battery buffer to fully power all of these machines at once, but I think it should be fine since not all the machines are going to be running all the time. Nice, now we just need to make it look a bit neater than what it is. I don't know about this, to be honest with you. I don't think I'm 100% sold on this. There definitely needs to be some modifications. Yeah, I'm still trying to find exactly the style I want to do with this base. I don't know, maybe it'll grow on us. We'll wait and see. So I moved our oil pump over from the other side of the base over there, and it looks like it's already filled up here. We have a full super tank of oil, and I believe you can pick these things up without voiding the inputs. We get a massive debuff though, but I mean, we have creative flight. Well, not creative flight, you know what I mean. So we replace the tanks and put the pump on the bottom. That should start to fill our iron tank again, and we'll keep buffering fuel. 4-minute debuff? That's a bit excessive, don't you think? I mean, we were just carrying 4 million millibuckets of oil, but still. Alright, so bear with me here. This is going to be our plan moving forward. I was doing some digging around the quest book, and I think I want to work towards the large chemical reactor. This means we can avoid having to use these basic single blocks, and it actually simplifies a lot of the recipes. We don't have to use these tin cans anymore. Problem is, to get access to one of these things, we need something called PTFE, or polytetrafluoroethylene. That's so fun to say. But to make polytetrafluoroethylene, we need Teflon and oxygen, which comes from chloroform and hydrofluoric. Chloroform comes from basically methane chlorine, and hydrofluoric is hydrogen fluorine. The fluorine we need for hydrofluoric acid is not going to be renewable until we reach the moon, so this is going to be quite difficult to get. We'll come back to that later on, but after we have the fluorine, we also need chlorine and methane, and the methane is what I would like to look at today, so we're going to get that from fermented biomass. There is some easier ways to get it, but this is going to give us some extra byproducts we can use later on. So our plan is to use a pyrolyzed oven with biochaff and water, which will give us fermented biomass. The biochaff we get from centrifuging plant mass, which comes from pulverizing plant balls, which comes from compressing any sort of plants. So this is going to be a big project to get up and running, and not something we'll get today. However, I did start to think about where we want to place all of this stuff. And the farms, obviously we don't want in a heavily polluted area. So I think we put the farms on the other side of the river here. We're going to have multiple farms eventually. And then we pipe it across the river and pyrolyze oven and distill it over on this side of the base. So while I was waiting on some materials earlier on, I did start preparing all of the machines we would need. Well, not all of them. Most of the machines. We will need an HV macerator for this. Ideally an HV macerator. We also, of course, need our pyrolyzed oven. The casings should be in this chest. These really aren't too bad. It's just a lot of steel and bronze. And the controller block is just a bunch of MV machines, really. We do also need coils for this, and we will just be using copper nickel. I'm working on getting some more distilled water, which we should probably have a dedicated setup for. But since we don't have the vacuum freezer, we can't freeze more Canthal ingots yet. We will also need a centrifuge for this, which we accidentally made LV. This is going to be perfect for this setup. Oh, and look at that, we even have a spare MV energy hatch. That's perfect. We may have to run it a higher tier, but we'll start off at MV and see how this goes. We also need all of the usual multi-block components for this, so maintenance hatch, the input and output buses, and input and output hatches, which I think I'll actually do at MV. Okay, and the muffler hatch we do at MV. Okay, that should be all of the bits and pieces for the pyrolyze oven. So as for the farm side of things, I was about to just make another crop harvester actually, although I'm having some second thoughts about doing this, and I think actually we would like to get into forestry. We do also need a few more reservoirs, these things are so annoying to make. But yeah, I would like to switch to using the forestry farms, and the reason for that is we actually get fertilizer as a byproduct from one of the processes we're going to end up with, which is required for this multi-farm, but I believe these things do go much faster than the crop harvesters can. So I guess we just start with the first quest here to make our bronze casings, or sturdy casings. Some steel screws, an LV machine casing, and bronze casings. Yeah, not that bad actually. Oh, we can even skip the screws doing it in an assembler. Oh, you know what, the thing is, we're actually down to 38 steel, up from like 1,000 yesterday. I've went through so much steel, like crafting all those machines and the pyrolyze oven, bunch of other things as well, but yeah, we have to think about our steel supply. Oh, we got plenty of wrought iron here ready to be turned into steel. I think we're just missing oxygen here. Now do you work? There we go. And it's 2 seconds per ingot, so yeah, this should fix our problems. Alright, LV machine casing and some bronze casings. I'm not entirely sure how many of these we actually need. Alright, there's the sturdy casings. This should be our quest. Or no, this is a crafting task. We have to, really? We have to craft it like this? Okay, alright then. We should have some steel screws to use here. I think I made a few too many bolts earlier on. Alright, there is the sturdy casings for the quest. Oh, we got some maintenance issues. That is so loud. Wow. Let's see what the problem is. Screws are loose. Okay. I think that just means screwdriver. There's some maintenance and... oh, it's because I had it inverted to turn it off. Okay. I think we're good. Well, at least we know that works. And after some crafting, we have our carpenter. Looks like we also need a series of tubes, which is this quest here, which needs apatite, which needs the thermionic fabricator, which needs heating coils. These are not that bad. You know, this is turning out to be quite the detour. We may not get our pyrolyze up and running today. Okay, so it looks like to craft the next machine, the thermionic fabricator, we need to use our carpenter, which I believe requires RF power to run. So I think we're going to make something called the combustion generator up here, which we can burn our fuel for to make RF power. Wait a second, is this Canthal? It is Canthal. We have some... I think we're going to do our coils at Canthal level then. Okay, we got our combustion engine. The quest mentions this thing does take water. I didn't really want it placed that way, but I guess we're going to roll with it. So then I think we just put in the recipe for the fabricator and the carpenter. And I think we just give this a redstone signal. Oh, and the fuel, of course. Oh, we're outputting 60 RF. Okay. We have the recipe in the carpenter. I think we need redstone. Oh, it's crafting. Okay, I just had to click the cells on the block itself rather than place them in this slot. Thermionic fabricator. Alright, well, next quest before the electron tubes for the farm, we need to find some apatite here. And a few hours ago I set down our miner, or the spare miner that we had over here, which is on an apatite vein. I'm wondering how this is doing by now. Did it finish? It looks like it. I mean, we have stacks on stacks of apatite over here. And the quest. Alright, and from what I've seen from NEI here, this looks like something we want to sift. Yeah, look at all these chance outputs we can get from the sifter. Okay, we got a tiny amount of apatite that we can use here, and I noticed there was actually an assembling recipe for these tubes. Oh, it's a circuit assembling recipe. Alright then, I guess we're doing this in the clean room. Now do you work? Yes, you do. Alright. So what do we actually do with these things? If you couldn't tell already, I'm a little bit lost when it comes to this forestry multifarm. So it looks like we need the farm blocks itself, which have to be made in the carpenter with creosote oil. And does it matter which one we do? I don't think it does. I could be wrong about that though. Wait a second, I don't see any of these recipes requiring this thermionic fabricator. Why exactly did we have to craft this thing? Who knows? Okay, these farm blocks do have to be in the carpenter though, and I'm hoping this is going to be enough creosote oil for us. So I was just over here making some more glass, or molten glass, for the electron tubes, and I happened to come across this drawer here. Look at this, we set this up earlier on for nickel. Is that 1.2k platinum? Plus we have another 122 in this thermal centrifuge. I mean, I guess we only get nuggets from this, but I mean, still. Alright, we got the carpenter working. This should be our last craft of the farm blocks. Okay, now to figure out how this thing actually works. Oh no, we need the controllers and stuff as well. More crafting, more steel. Alright, well I think we're almost ready to get this farm up and running. This took me a little bit longer than I'd like to admit. But I ended up going for the maximum size here, which is 11 radius. So I was doing some reading on the wiki. The way I understand this to work is we need 2 farm controls, which we have on the top, 2 farm gearboxes, which input the power, and then underneath here we have a couple more hatches, which we crafted up. We have the 2 farm hatches, which is how we insert and export items. So this is what our pipe will connect to, which goes all the way to the other side of the river here, eventually. And then the last 2 blocks on the top there is the farm valves. I probably shouldn't have broke that actually. Yeah, that was our water supply. Yeah, the water is automatically being sent from the reservoir to feed the farm. But right now, as you can see, this is a managed tree farm, and we don't want to be farming trees here, we want a crop farm. So to fix that, we need one of these intricate circuit boards. There is multiple variants of these, each taking different tiers of circuits from Gregtech. We could have went for the refined, which only takes MV circuits, but the intricate, which used up another 2 HV circuits here, so I'm glad I crafted extra today. This one is required if we want to use all 4 quadrants of the farm. So with the circuit board, we have to do some programming with it, so we want the bronze electron tube to turn it from the tree farm into a vanilla crop farm. There is other variants that you can do with the different electron tubes, but for this we want bronze. So inside the solder and iron, we want a managed farm. Yeah, it must be managed. We don't want a manual farm. And this represents each quadrant of the farm. So we want east, south, west, and north. Oh, I done it automatically. Okay, yeah, so we can see 4 crop farms on this intricate circuit board. And this thing, I believe, just goes into the middle of our farm block. Changes it over to wheat. I don't think we necessarily have to farm wheat, but I guess we'll start with wheat. So I believe there's 2 more items that we need for this. We need fertilizer to keep this running. We also need to provide it dirt, so we'll have to find a way to automate this. This is definitely a bigger rabbit hole than I first thought, and it's going to be fun though. I'm looking forward to this. And the other thing we need for this is power, so we can use RF or EU. I believe it does accept Gregtech energy. So it doesn't say exactly how much EU it takes. I believe it depends on what crop you're farming and how big it is, so we may have to downsize this a bit until we can figure out the power. But what I'm hoping can work is if we go over to our crop breeding area. We do have this spare solar panel here. I'm hoping this is going to be enough. And I'm not entirely sure what we're going to be doing with this area. Was originally going to put all the farms here for the extra stat bonuses. But honestly, I think it's too early to be min-maxing that much. I would rather just get this farm up and running and then we can optimize it later on. Plus, it may not even make a difference since we're not using IC2 crops for this specific farm. Alright, let's try this out. Hopefully this works. I think we'll need a battery for this though. Okay, with the battery, now it's just asking for the fertilizer. There is a few ways to do this. Eventually we'll have an IC2 fertilizer. Yeah, fermented biomass in the distillation tower gives us fertilizer, which we can then mix into forestry fertilizer along with apatite dust. But for now, the recipe we're going to use before we get this automated is just ashes and apatite dust. The ashes we get out of the blast furnace for steel production, and I think there's actually a few other recipes that give us this, but we had a few stacks here to work with. And we get lots of fertilizer per recipe here. Alright, did we miss anything? I don't know at this point. We just need to turn the switch on and try it out, I guess. Alright, with the fertilizer, do you work? Oh, it's building our farm, look at that. Fully automatic. That is awesome. Look how quick it is as well. Oh, and it looks like water production can't even keep up. We may need more than 1 reservoir for this. Unless it's just maybe filling in all of the water sources to get it started. Okay, let's try giving this thing some seeds. See what it does here. Okay, it is planting them. That is a good sign. And it's actually barely used any fertilizer as well. I thought it would be eaten through this stuff. I want to just make sure it will harvest and replant, and then I'm happy. The rest of the IO we save for tomorrow, I think. This has taken me so long to do this. Only this little bit here. Oh, look at that. It was almost instant with the harvest. And our battery here seems to be going up in power, which I did not expect. And it even automatically outputs to the drawer below. That is awesome. Well, we got the farm up and running, I'm happy, and I think this is a good point to wrap up the episode. We got a number of projects started today, none of which we finished, but hopefully we can make some progress tomorrow. I would like to finish the I/O for this multi-farm and then set up our pyrolyze oven, which we'll have already crafted here. I thought we could have got this today, but I got a little bit ambitious, and well, I think that is going to do us for today. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you all soon for some more Gregtech New Horizons.